Securities offered through TJ Stearns, a registered representative of Crown Capital Securities LP, member FINRA SIPC. Content is intended to provide accurate information, however, is not intended as financial, tax, or legal advice. Please consult a financial, legal, or tax professional for specific information regarding your individual situation. Opinions expressed and provided are for general informational purposes only and should not be considered a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security.
Welcome to Protect and Grow with Chicagoland certified financial planner Tim Stearns of TJ Stearns Incorporated. Trust, respect, and results. TJ Stearns Incorporated focuses on comprehensive financial planning and benefits.
And welcome into the program. This is Protect and Grow Chicagoland Retirement with Chicagoland CFP certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns, your resource, ladies and gentlemen, for a common sense approach to planning with our money, with our finances, and for our financial and retirement future. Uncommon advice and guidance here on the program. But Tim, there's a lot that we need to think about, be aware of when it comes to our money in order to make well thought through and informed decisions.
Yes, Peter. And, we're teaching these college classes quite a bit around here. And one thing I'm noticing a lot is that people don't know what the Secure Act is, the one that was passed in December of 2019. And now we have yet another one coming down the pipeline that looks like they're going to pass, which is the Secure Act 2.0. And that's what we're here to talk about today, Peter.
Well, Tim, the Secure Act, the name sounds warm and friendly and like it should instill confidence, but I find that a lot of times that's why they are named certain things. The government likes these acronyms that at the end may or may not actually apply to the bill that is being debated. Right.
So basically, let's back up. So 2 years ago, in December of 2019, they passed the Secure Act, which said that basically the big things that I saw out of it were, number one, you didn't have to take money out at age 70 and a half like we had in the past. They moved that to age 72. And then the other big thing was they basically got away with the stretch IRA. They did away with it because what not happens now is that if a husband and wife pass away, the beneficiaries, like in the family, have to drain the account within 10 years, whether that's in the first year or over 10 years or the 10th year, but either way, it has to go away. And basically, so the stretch
requiring beneficiaries, Tim, to liquidate retirement accounts when they're inherited generationally.
That is totally correct. And, a lot of these people are, in their best earning years. The last thing they want is more undue income that they didn't think was coming down the path. So what happens is you see these people being forced into taking more income. And what happens then? Well, the government gets more taxes.
The income, one thing, it's the more taxes I think that people are taking exception to and finding that the Secure Act was not as warm and fuzzy as the name may indicate.
Exactly. And so that's was passed a couple of years ago. Most people don't know what it is in our classes or when they call into the office, when we talk to them about that. So now what we're seeing is that they passed the Secure Act 2.0. And the big things here is that, number one, they're going to basically move it out to age 73 from 72, age 74, and then a couple of years, and then ultimately age 75 down the road. So a lot of things are changing. And, a lot of my listeners have talked about this with me, that, the Secure Act 2.0, what that does is it makes the nest egg of the IRA even bigger and they get more taxes out of it. Right. So, conspiracies aside, it's true. If the market's up, it's going to make a bigger tax bill for people. Again, you're going to have to take out all the money within 10 years. Nothing changed there. The good news is that if you're over the age of 62, you can start to basically put in more than $6,500 catch up. You could put it into $10,000, which is excellent. That's a nice thing to have if you're trying to catch up because, you're raising kids, what have you, didn't have the money back then. That's one nice thing. But as my professor said at DePaul University, if they gave you something in your right pocket, they just took it from your left when it comes to the government. And I think the Secure Act 2.0 rings with that. The other thing that I found interesting is that they're allowing, they want annuities into plans, into 401k plans. And, some people are they don't like annuities. They get a bad rap. So in most cases, it's not one size fits all, but we do see where it's a great call. And the reason why the government's allowing for annuities to be in there is they want people to have more secure retirements, which is back in the day was called a pension. Well, the days of that have come and gone. Most people don't have a pension.
Well, in order to do effective planning, one thing is certain, ladies and gentlemen, you need to make sure that your plans keep up with rules and laws, the requirements and implications. And bottom line here, as we are discussing the Secure Act and the Secure Act 2.0, is that the rules and the laws, the requirements and in the implications on your retirement accounts and your retirement plan have changed. You need to make sure that your plan keeps up with those changes and reflects those changes, what they have as far as requirements for you to do. Make sure that you will still be effective in your financial goals with these new laws and these new sets of requirements. To keep up with that, turn to a financial professional. Tim Stearns, CFP, Chicagoland area, your resource for information and guidance for planning. And if you'd like to take advantage of the opportunity for a complimentary review, a retirement planning strategy session, simply pick up the phone, give a call, be in touch, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. Tim, as you are teaching these college courses, the retirement rescue courses, are you finding that it is more worrisome that people don't know what's included in the bill, or that we just don't know about the bills at all?
I find that most people don't know anything about the bills and then if they do, they have half the story. And, we have a really good article that came out on March 30th that we'll be happy to share with people. If they'd like to call in, we'll get it to them via email that, talks all about what this thing is what it does and what it doesn't do. Doesn't allow you to stretch, which was really nice back then. The stretch IRA was great because if you're younger than your parents, my mom's 92 years old. She's having to take out more and more money every year. I'm only 50 years old. I can take money out at a lesser level, right? Well, not anymore. If my mom passes away, because my dad already had passed away, I have to drain her account within 10 years and my 4 other siblings have to do the same. So these are things that people need to be, cognizant of, because it's going to do some damage to your tax bill. I mean, regardless of it, whether you take it out in year 1 or over 10 years or the 10th year, you're still going to need to drain the account.
Most people did not intend for the IRS and Uncle Sam to be their largest beneficiary. And Tim, a lot of people have a notion of and some concern of estate taxes. However, the levels on those are so high that, at least under current law, this could change, but most people would not be impacted by an estate tax. But what people in general, I think, fail to realize is that that's only one layer of taxation that can happen as we pass on assets. And for those of us who have been saving in these retirement accounts, these tax deferred 401ks and IRAs, there is an income tax that happens before the estate tax is even a factor.
Exactly. So I don't think people realize the tax bill that's coming down the pipeline. And then the other thing is a lot of people have done Roth conversions. Back in 2008, we had a gentleman who called into the radio show who did a Roth conversion, and that too, when he passes, will have to be drained out within 10 years. So the whole idea of what that gentleman did to help his family to live on for generations and generations is not a thing anymore. And a lot of people are leaving money to trust, as their beneficiary. For different reasons, to dictate beyond the grave what they wanted to have done. Well, that's going to change some things there too. So I would implore people to either give us a call so we can educate them or talk to their estate attorneys. We have one on staff here that knows this intimately, and there's a lot of different things you could do to get ahead of this. And if you don't, you're going to be very sorry that you didn't do that.
Again, if you would like some professional trained expertise and guidance in these planning matters, pick up the phone and give CFP certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns a call. He's happy to talk with you, give you specific direction to specific questions, and if merited, invite you in for a complimentary review, a financial planning strategy session to make sure that your plan has kept up with all of these changes and the proposed changes out there that are being debated right now, but in all likelihood look like that these new measures are passing, ladies and gentlemen. Again, Washington has the ability to change the rules when it comes to certain aspects of your financial and retirement accounts. So let's make sure that the plan keeps up with those changes, that you are a step ahead rather than a step behind and reactive. 800-640-2256 is the number to call. That's 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. Tim, another big discussion item in your retirement rescue classes is longevity. Longevity is actually an issue that at a certain point in time, it is a blessing. It's something that we hope for. But then on the other hand, financially, it can be a sizable risk that we need to address.
Well, people are living longer and longer. And one of the things we talk about in the class is the fact that people are living longer with ailments. Something that maybe 20 years ago, God forbid, would have killed them, they're still living. And so they have these ailments and they have extra medical costs and that type of thing, but they're living. So not only are they, needing to pay their bills and that type of thing, but they might have to have a caregiver. They might need to have, to sell their house because they can't get around as good and they need to move into, assisted living or something like that. These are all things that can be addressed prior to needing those. And that's why we tell people, get ahead of it, come and see us. There's some great products out there that have hybrid qualities to them where we can address some long-term care and also address Secure Act, because the money in these life insurance policies would be left to the families tax-free. That would help pay down some of these exorbitant taxes that they're going to have, that they have to pay down within 10 years. Why not use pennies on a dollar to pay some of those taxes?
Careful planning for optimal results. If you would like to address any of the topics that we talk about here on the program or questions and concerns of your own, you're always welcome to give a call, be in touch with Tim Stearns, CFP, and the team from TJ Stearns, Inc. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. And it is a team approach there. At their resource, they have attorneys, they have tax professionals, and of course, Tim Stearns, CFP, can help you with the financial aspects of achieving your goals and your careful planning to achieve those optimal results. 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. Tim, another aspect that you talk about in retirement rescue, the market and market risk. And people do have, I think, a valid concern of where the market is right now and the direction that it may be going into the future, or at least the amount of risk that we are exposed to when we choose to utilize the investment world and the market for our life savings.
Well, as you know, we had a 13-year bull market going, and we were talking about buyers' emotions, sellers' emotions within the stock market. And one of the things we said is that a bull market dies on euphoria, right? And we were at the end of 2021, the sky was the limit, right? And what happened the first couple months, the roosters came home, right? And you had to kind of address that. If all good things come to an end, and it's been a bumpy road. You had a war in Ukraine. You have the Fed trying to stymie all these different inflation that's off course here. It's 1982. It's the highest it's been. So we need to make sure that you're understanding that, the market doesn't always go up, and if you're just entering into your retirement or you're just into, you're thinking about in the next couple of years, these things hurt, when you're not putting money in and dollar cost averaging like you were when you were working. So these are things, that the Fed is going to be raising interest rates. That's going to affect bond prices, right? We know that. We also know that inflation right now, it's historically been about 3.15, and that's, it's up over 7.9%. So these are things that people need to address. What you could buy a year ago isn't as much as you can buy today. And I've told this before, but we have a 1976 catalog that you can put in 4 tires for $200. I just had to buy tires in the past 8 months. They're $800. If that doesn't show you what inflation can do, then I don't know what does. So these are, you need to be cognizant of the fact that your dollar today is not going to be worth the same thing in 10, 20 years in retirement.
Speaking of inflation, Tim, another topic of the retirement rescue and the specific reason why this is really a topic that needs and deserves rescue in many people's plans is because a lot of times inflation is not even included or addressed in many financial plans or projections. That's something that really needs some attention given to it.
Right. Well, the thing we call inflation in my classes is the silent thief. You don't see it coming in, and it just takes. So one of the things that we do when we're doing an income allocation plan is that people out there need to realize that if inflation is at its historic rate of about 3%, that money needs to double every 24 years. Okay. The money, if the inflation rate is at 4%, it's every 18 years. So when you look at that and it's above that right now, what are we talking about here? We need to make sure that you stay up with inflation, because I will tell you, Social Security won't do that. It's impossible for them to keep up at those types of rates. And this past year, they raised for 2022, they announced the ratings and that they're going to rate up in 2021, 5.9%. But then they did the same thing with Medicare. And it's kind of a wash for everybody. So how do you address inflation, but to have your money in the stock market in most cases? Well, you better make sure that you're picking carefully what you have in there. If you have just rank and file mutual funds that, any Tom and Dick and Harry can put money into, that don't have stop losses and that type of thing, you're not investing institutionally, shame on us that there's better things out there that you could be doing.
In fact, Tim, rather than helping us combat inflation, oftentimes the first reaction of, well, I'll need to take more risk in order to get better growth on our money doesn't work out to be beneficial. Instead, it can be potentially a double whammy. Now our dollars have lost value and our account has lost value as well.
Right. It's a catch-22, where are you going to get that back? And if you're in retirement, you are a net seller of assets. So the only growth you have in your portfolio is the stock market. And more than likely, you're taking money from there. So like you said, where do you get the coverage for it? Well, guess what? An income allocation plan, it's never too late to do one. And if you do one, you can make one that's dynamic, that can be addressing all these different things that are happening. A year ago now, we wouldn't think anything of the Ukraine, right? And you have people saying, oh my Lord, it turned down the market and inflation ran rampant. Now what?
Yeah, along with many other issues, the supply of money, the supply chain issues that we have seen, kind of scarcity of goods, an exorbitant supply of money that continues to seem to expand unendingly, and then the conflicts that we've seen on top of that in Europe and Ukraine, all of those factors, as well as the velocity of transactions, Tim, because people are moving money to buy things into the future that they think are going to be more expensive next year. Probably a good inclination that these things are going to be more expensive, so go ahead and purchase them now. But because money is moving so rapidly to do so, all of those forces really affecting and impacting the inflation that we're seeing.
Yes, I mean, people try to get ahead of it, but how much can you get ahead of inflation that came out of nowhere? One of the things we talk about is that if you had $4 bills in the past 2 years, those have been printed, right? So, I mean, the pandemic has done a world of hurt in all shapes and forms that I don't think a lot of people understood. People understood people were dying and that type of thing, but they didn't understand what it would do to the stock market, to you trying to buy something that, is now exorbitant compared to where it was a year ago. All I say to people is, have you gassed up lately? And it gets a laugh. I mean, you know that it's very expensive and it's more so than it was a year ago.
Well, Tim, the Fed's tool against that is interest rates. They plan on raising interest rates several times over the course of the next year and a half. They have stated maybe as many as 6 this year and up to 3 more next year. Now, at a surface level, this may sound like it could be a good thing. Oh, the government's stepping in to help us curb and bring an end to some of the inflation that we've seen, and maybe I can earn a little bit more on my savings. But why is interest rate risk something that investors need to be paying attention to?
Well, a lot of people don't know what interest rate risk is. So the example I give in class is, let's say there's a 3% bond that you own, right? And the Fed is going to raise rates 0.25% like they just did. All right. At the end of the day, there's new bonds coming out, let's say at 3.25. Who wants your old bond at 3%? And I say that to the class, and the class says, no one, right? So now I have to entice you to buy my bond fund by taking a loss in most cases. And that's what happened in 2008. It's not an if, it's a when. So, I mean, if they are raising rates, which is what they've said they're going to do, I've never seen them be more open with that information that they're going to be raising rates. You need to get assets that are not correlated to the stock market or the Fed raising rates. What does that look like? It could be cash, it could be annuities, it could be, commodities like gold, silver, et cetera, but it needs to be something other than the stock market or bonds.
Again, careful planning for optimal results. That's what we talk about here on the Protect and Grow program each and every week with Tim Stearns, CFP. If you would like to take advantage of the opportunity to speak with a certified financial planner, Tim Stearns does make his time available to you. 800-640-2256, the number to call. That's 800-640-2256, bringing the conversation full circle, actually more than just the Secure Act with which we began. Tim, in your retirement rescue classes, you spend a good deal of time talking about taxes, the implications of taxes, especially on retirees.
Unfortunately, your number one bill in retirement is taxes. I mean, that just, death and taxes, as they say, right? So those are things that we address right off the bat. When people tell me, oh, I need $100,000 to live on per year or what have you, is that a gross number or is that net after taxes? The biggest asset most baby boomers have is their 401k. They didn't have a pension, or if they did, they froze it a long time ago. So their biggest asset besides their house is their 401k. And now what? And you've never been taxed on it. So, the government wants their pound of flesh, unfortunately. And so right now, we know exactly what the income tax rates are. So maybe right now is a time to do some small Roth conversions to kind of, address the 900-pound elephant in the room of taxes. If you're in your late 50s, early 60s, chances are you could be for a male to live to 85, female to 88. This is the time to maybe do something. I'm not talking about taking millions of dollars and converting it, but maybe taking some of it and chomping down on that tax bill a little bit now to let that money grow tax deferred. And then when you pull it out, tax free.
Well, Tim, for many of us, the value of our 401k or our retirement accounts is actually greater than the value of our home. Here's kind of the comparison: is a lot of people, once they get their home paid off, they say, yes, but wait, I still have to account for the tax bill. The tax bill on the paid off home is still going to be owed. Well, when we look at that 401k account, we still have to address the tax bill. And
Yep.
I think, unfortunately, a lot of people forget that is going to be a factor that they're going to have to pay for in retirement. And so we really need to address that. And why not address it during a period where we can do so at a discount? While taxes are on sale and historically low, Tim, those are the type of considerations you help people crunch the numbers on and really make an informed decision for an optimal outcome there at TJ Stearns.
Like you said, it's a great opportunity right now. We know what taxes are. I ask everyone in my classes, I've asked clients in seminars and that type of thing, where do you think taxes are going? No one has ever said they're going to go down. At the end of the day, we need to address that. So why not take care of it right now? And, if your threshold is so much, you could start to nibble on that tax bill.
Well, again, proactive planning, careful planning for optimal results. That's what you'll find with Tim Stearns, CFP, and the team there at TJ Stearns, Inc. If you would like to take the advantage of the complimentary financial and retirement planning review and strategy session, it's a deep dive, a forensic analysis into all of your accounts, the fees that you're paying, the risks that you're taking, the taxes that you may be liable for into the future, and strategizing on how to control all of those things, how to maximize Social Security, how to minimize the tax hit, how to minimize the risk and fees and costs of your investments. Pick up the phone, give CFP, Certified Financial Planning Professional Tim Stearns, a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256 for that complimentary, no cost, no obligation review and strategy session. Similar reviews, by the way, easily going upwards of $1,000 to, in some cases, several thousands of dollars. Tim Stearns makes that information and that planning available to you. No cost, no obligation. Just call 800-640-2256. Tim, you also have that valuable book, Income Allocation, that covers a lot of these issues that we've talked about today and how to address them in today's modern world.
It's a lot of ingredients that go into retirement, and that book addresses all of them. I don't know anyone who's read it that has not taken a couple good points from it. That I never thought about that. Those types of comments are often made. Social Security is addressed in there. Everything's addressed. Medicare. These are things that people need to be cognizant of. You know, just because you're 58 doesn't mean you don't worry about down the road, how am I going to pay for health insurance? Down the road, how am I going to pay for my living? You know, and if something happens to me, how is my spouse going to get along? These are the things that an income allocation plan will do for people. And the book explains exactly what that is.
Well, if you'd like to get that income allocation plan put together, you'd like that complimentary review and retirement planning strategy session, or if you'd like the book Income Allocation, if you'd like that book, be one of the first 10 callers to today's program. That's a limited availability and opportunity. 10 callers to the program today can receive that book Income Allocation if you have at least $500,000 saved for your retirement. So pick up the phone now, give a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. Tim, always a pleasure. We appreciate the information that you share with us and those proactive savers and investors across Chicagoland.
Thanks a lot, Peter.
Tune into Chicagoland Certified Financial Planner Tim Stearns' full radio program on 890 WLS every Sunday at 11 a.m. and visit tjstearns.com for many valuable resources, including other great episodes of Chicagoland Retirement. Be sure to subscribe.
Securities offered through TJ Stearns, a registered representative of Crown Capital Securities LP, member FINRA SIPC. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature, not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs.